The other day, I'd mentioned being your own bank in one of my videos out there in Texas, and I believe in that. And we all do that as far as like our our silver stackers, gold stackers, platinum stackers, Bitcoin stackers, cash stackers. Right? It's only cash that I have right now. Matthew Cratter made a video a couple of days ago, but it talks about being your own bank, and he talks about what happened with the banking and stuff like that, and how you can become your own bank. And we talk about that, and I'm all for that, man. Because again, the purpose of the United States Constitution is to limit the power of the federal government, not the American people. And I'm fully on board with that. And again, guys, I've said this once and I've said it 100 times. I'm all about freedom on this channel. And the reason why I stack the things that I stack, because it gives me freedom. And I'm not going to do the central bank digital currencies. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to be told what to do by these people, these tyrannical people that are in charge of what's going on here. You see what they're trying to do to Donald Trump. Even if those charges don't stick with Donald Trump, which I don't think they will, they're still muddying his name up basically by just saying it. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate. They don't have any charges at all, but people think they're kidnappers, and they've never kidnapped anybody. They didn't R-word anybody, and they didn't force anybody to do anything. But the media said they did, so of course they're going to stick with that. And I'm not for that, man. I'm all for freedom, and you're innocent until proven guilty. And the way this stuff is going, man, it's like, wow. But anyways, the reason why I float towards Bitcoin is because it's freedom money. It's digital freedom money that's permissionless. Doesn't need, I don't need to ask anybody's permission. I keep it right here on my cold storage, some of it on my Trezor, and some of it on my Ledger. And my silver, obviously, right here with me, and my dollars right here with me. And that's why I float towards Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, again, if you read the white paper on Bitcoin, it's a lot like this, this document right here. Not exactly, of course, but it came into effect. The guy started making it, or the people, Satoshi Nakamoto, started making it in 2008, I believe, and then they launched it January 3rd, 2009, during the housing crashes and the bank bailouts. And that's why he made it. And right now, this is a true test for Bitcoin. You know what I mean? These bank bailouts right now that are going on, you see what the price of Bitcoin is doing. This is what it was made for, ladies and gentlemen. So let's see what the great Matthew Cratter has to say about how to be your own bank through Bitcoin.
This is Matthew Cratter from Trade University, and today I want to talk about how you can be your own bank with Bitcoin. Even just a couple years ago, this almost sounded like crazy talk. Why would I want to trust my savings to something digital that I can't see or touch? And I think that 2022 and 2023 have reminded a lot of people that that's basically what they're already doing, whether they have exposure to Credit Suisse and all the European bank problems, whether they had exposure to Signature Bank or Silvergate or Silicon Valley Bank, very healthy banks on the surface, especially Silicon Valley Bank, that blew up overnight. And then if you're in one of these banks with your digital tokens called US dollars, the question always is, am I going to get a bailout? And there were a lot of people who were very stressed last weekend wondering whether the US government would bail out Silicon Valley Bank. And then the question is, will you get your money back this week? Will you get it back on Monday or this year or this decade? The nice thing for Bitcoiners who hold their Bitcoin in cold storage is they don't have to lie awake at night thinking about things like this.
Absolutely not. I sleep like a baby with my investments. I sleep like a baby. That's why I don't have any paper assets or anything like that, because I have no control over it. I have my own cash, my own silver, my own Bitcoin on my cold storage. Because again, when this stuff happens, this is for the people that don't understand how things work. When you have things in the paper market where you have Bitcoin on paper, or you have Bitcoin when you buy it and put it on an exchange, again, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Not your keys, not your Bitcoin. So I sleep well at night, very well, because it's mine. It's all mine. You know what I mean? So I absolutely love the fact that when these things happen, and bad stuff happens with the crypto markets and Bitcoin, that means the price is going to go down, and I can get even more from my dollar. So I sleep well at night, and while this stuff is going on, it just helps my dollar cost average. Same thing with silver. When something happens in the markets and silver goes down, it's still an ounce of silver. You know what I mean? I still get my 100,000 Satoshis every day. Still the same thing. I just get it for a little cheaper.
On the other hand, though, Bitcoiners who let someone else hold their Bitcoin for them do have to worry. This is what happened with Celsius. A lot of people stored their Bitcoin over there to earn some yield. And this is, of course, a problem if you're holding Ethereum. You're really dependent on Vitalik and the devs to tell you when you'll be able to unstake and when you'll have full withdrawals. As of March 13th, there won't be full withdrawals until 18 months from now.
Another reason I love Bitcoin versus cryptocurrency, because again, I know Bitcoin technically is a cryptocurrency, but Bitcoin is not like Ethereum and XRP and Solana and Cardano and all these other altcoins or ship coins, we like to call them, because they have VCs, they have venture capitalists, they have CFOs, CEOs, people that, take the tokens and take some away and all this other stuff. Bitcoin has none of that. Bitcoin is its own entity, and you know who owns it? The network owns it. The people that run the network, us. For the people, by the people, of the people. That's what Bitcoin is. That's why I love it. When I first got in, I was looking at other cryptocurrencies, and I thought they were all the same, and Bitcoin was just cost more. No. Bitcoin is not like these other cryptocurrencies. Again, Ethereum is proof of stake. Bitcoin is proof of work. Now, if you don't know what that means, look it up yourself. I'll make another video about that. But again, nobody owns this, man. It's not a CEO or anything like that. It's ours for the people. That's why I cannot put any cash in any other cryptocurrencies, man.
Now, here's something else that you might have to worry about if your money is in a bank. Saying something that the authorities, whoever they are, deem to be offensive, or saying something so true that they don't want it to get out and they have to label it misinformation. You also have to worry about having said something 5-10 years ago, especially online where it's preserved forever, that was an acceptable thing to say then, but is no longer acceptable. And PayPal had this policy last year. I think they've removed it since then after a lot of outcry. But basically, if they found you saying something online that they did not like, they would have the right not just to empty out your PayPal account, but to withdraw $2,500 from your bank account through PayPal. Very evil company. I suggest you delete your PayPal app as soon as possible if you haven't done that already.
Yeah, I don't mess with PayPal at all. As soon as I heard that, I didn't have any money on there anyway, but as soon as I heard, I deleted it. Venmo's part of PayPal too. I don't really mess with Venmo. I have it because a lot of people do use it, but I refuse to use PayPal. Absolutely. And the only reason I keep Venmo is because a couple of the businesses I deal with have it, and I just get some money. And plus one of my dealers that deal me silver have it. So I do that, but I don't mess with PayPal at all. And what he was talking about earlier is saying something bad and doing this and that when you have your money in the bank. He's talking about CBDCs, man. They literally look at what they're doing with Trump right now. This stuff with Trump happened in 2006, ladies and gentlemen, and they're bringing this up now. It's just pure evil, man.
Now, when you hold money in a bank, you have to worry about the regulators and the government that controls that bank. So, for example, once you put your money in the bank, the government might just decide to freeze the deposits, as happened to some depositors in China in May of 2022. This is from July of 2022. Breaking news from back then, Bank of China declared that people's savings in their branch are now investment products and cannot be withdrawn.
That is so true. Again, guys, banks are not your friends. They're here to make money off you, and they make money off of your money. Every dollar that you put in there is not yours anymore. You gave it to them. Of course, you're insured, up to $250,000, but they take your money and do whatever they want. And then when you try to ask for it back over a certain amount, they want to know what you're doing with it. You can't ask them any questions about what they're doing with your money. It's absolutely insane, man.
If you think this only happens in places like the People's Republic of China, you were not paying attention in 2022 when it also happened in the People's Republic of Canada when the Freedom Convoy protesters had their bank accounts frozen. So this can happen in countries that also have fairly strong property rights, or at least used to have fairly strong property rights. And I don't mean to pick on Canada. The same thing came very close to happening and has happened in different ways in the US as well. Here's an example of millions of bank accounts being frozen in 2002 in Argentina. I'm trying to replicate examples here to show that the normal course of events actually is you losing your money in a bank, not your money being safe in a bank. And people have gotten rugged again and again in banks, either by the banks themselves or more likely by the central bank or by the government. This happened in late 2022, and we did cover this on this channel. People were literally robbing banks to get their own money out of the banks in Lebanon after they closed the banks.
Yeah, I remember seeing this one lady. She went over the counter, pulled a gun out because they wouldn't give her money. And it was her money. Her sister had cancer or some kind of deadly disease, and they needed money for the surgery, and they wouldn't give her money. So she went in there and robbed the bank of her own money, nothing extra, got her own money, and gave her sister the money because, she needed it for the surgery. I think she got off. I don't think she got in trouble for that. But can you imagine that, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, wait. People are doing bank runs now. You think any more bank runs or banks going to be closed or being any bailouts? Does this sound familiar? This is insanity, man. This is why I don't trust the banks. This is why I don't keep anything over and above what I'm willing to lose or anything a penny over what my bills are.
If you think you're safe in a stable coin like USDC or one of these other stable coins, you should think again. It's very easy for Center to freeze this money, even if you have it in a hardware wallet. This has counterparty risk. It's supposedly backed by real dollars, but it can be turned off at law enforcement's request, as we saw in this case. Something similar happened with the whole Tornado Cash fiasco as well. And then here's another thing to worry about if you have your money in a bank. What if your bank fails and instead of getting a bailout, they decide instead to keep most of your deposits and give you worthless shares in the bank holding company instead, sort of an IOU. This is often called a bail-in. There are different forms of this, but this happened in Cyprus just approximately 10 years ago when depositors lost 47.5% of their savings, exceeding 100,000 euros. So this can certainly happen at any time. It can happen in very civilized places.
Yeah, those bail-ins are crazy. And it's up to the banks. They do whatever they want. But Bitcoin thrives through things like this. Bitcoin was made for this. When he was talking about Cyprus in 2013, when people couldn't get their money out of the bank, Bitcoin price skyrocketed. It absolutely skyrocketed up. And that was in 2013. Then in 2015, I believe it was Greece. They went through something similar, and Bitcoin's price went up again. And now, fast forward, it happened a couple times throughout the years, but fast forward to now, 2023, look what happened to the price of Bitcoin. Look how much it's up in the last 5 to 7 days because of this crap. For digital purposes, for transacting and stuff, that's the digital money of the future. And it's looked at as a bearer safe asset. It's looked like a store of value in the digital world.
Also, what happens if your bank doesn't like people with a certain background or a certain skin color or a certain religion? What happens if your country goes through a civil war and one side of the country starts killing the other side of the country? This is one of the risks, as is banks discriminate against customers for whatever racial reasons or reasons of background. Now, here's what we really need. We need a new form of money that cannot be debased by central banks. We need a new form of money that we can hold ourselves and not have to trust the banks to hold for us. And of course, this was Satoshi's vision in the white paper, where he wrote the root problem with conventional currency is all the trust that's required to make it work. The central bank must be trusted not to debase the currency, and they always do debase the currency. As Satoshi says, the history of fiat currencies is full of breaches of that trust. Banks must be trusted to hold our money and transfer it electronically, but they lend it out in waves of credit bubbles with barely a fraction in reserve. This is something that happened to Silicon Valley Bank, obviously. This is the basic banking model.
The quote says, if it wasn't for greedy men, we wouldn't need a constitution. This is what happens when you put people in charge, or the government in charge of the money. They're going to print more than what there is of gold and things like that. And these banks, look at this, what this administration has done with East Palestine. He hasn't even been over there yet, and it's been over a month, I believe. Look what happened when Silicon Valley Bank went under. Look how quick he went over there. You know what I mean? Or did the bailout. People are what they do, not what they say. You know what I mean? And you could tell where his priorities are, right to those banks. You know what I mean? And you know why they bailed him out.
And this is one reason why in the Genesis block in January of 2009, Satoshi included the following headline from the Times from January 3rd, 2009, Chancellor on the brink of a second bailout for banks. If you didn't live through that, the events of the last week will surely draw your attention to the fact that banks actually do need to be bailed out fairly frequently, even in places like the US and the UK. How many bank runs and bank bailouts do we need to see in our lifetimes before we all come together and say, enough is enough?
And that's what I was talking about in my last video when I was talking about democracy. Did we vote on that to bail these banksters out? Because you think they cared about people's deposits? No. Again, a big majority of the money or the people or the money was big money, billionaires. Venture capitalists, small little businesses, 95% of them don't have 250,000 plus. The people that have over 250,000, are billionaires and multimillionaires. These little small VCs and people like us don't have over 250,000 sitting in the bank. Again, if you had 250,000 or less, you were covered. They didn't care about that. They did it to help the banksters out, the billionaires. And it's crazy how, and again, these selected officials are bought and paid for, man. Don't get me started.
Here's what makes Bitcoin so special. It's permissionless. It's open to everyone, regardless of race, gender, net worth, nationality, politics, or other ideological opinions. It's censorship resistant, and it lives beyond the greedy grasp of governments and central banks. In other words, Bitcoin is everything that your bank is not. Bitcoin is not too big and stupid and incompetent and too big to fail. Bitcoin doesn't give its employees huge bonuses even after they blow up the financial system. Bitcoin has much better customer service. Bitcoin allows you to send and receive money 24/7. You can send or receive money from anyone in the world without needing a third party's permission. Bitcoin is not closed on bank holidays and weekends, and so you don't have to lie there sweating over the weekend wondering whether you're going to get a bailout of your money in the bank, and you're unable to move any money anyway because it's the weekend. You don't have to worry about the CEO or CIO or CTO or CFO of Bitcoin making a bad decision that blows up the bank over the weekend, because there's no small group of people who can come together and change anything about Bitcoin. You don't have to worry about a rogue employee at the bank blowing something up or stealing your money or leaking a database with all of your KYC, all your personal information. You don't have to anxiously scan the news to see if your bank is about to suffer a bank run. You don't have to cross your fingers and hope for a bailout if in fact you do experience a bank run. You don't have to try to calculate whether there's enough money in the FDIC fund to pay out all depositors if your bank fails along with a number of other banks.
Because we all know the FDIC does not have enough money. I mean, it's not even close to having enough money to bail out all these banks. They don't have enough. They barely had enough to cover Silicon Valley Bank. You know where that money came from. Other banks had to come in and help the other. It's just five banks have closed in the last 8-9 days or whatever. The FDIC can't cover those banks. So what happened? The other banks came in with billions of dollars and helped them out. And who do you think is gonna flip that bill? Me and you.
This is the point at which viewers will say, yes, this is all true, but isn't Bitcoin too volatile? And I would say, yes, it can be volatile, but over the long term, most of that volatility is to the upside, unlike the US dollar. Here's a log chart of Bitcoin showing the general trend. Here is a chart of the US dollar since 1913, showing you that the general trend is down. So if you're going to hold either US dollars or Bitcoin, as you might in a retirement account, this gives you an idea of whether you're swimming upstream as you are with the dollar, or whether you're swimming downstream as you are holding Bitcoin.
I love that, because a lot of people that tell me, oh, Bitcoin's volatile, or man, it was in the 60s and now it's in the 20s. Yeah, that's true. It was in the 60s for a brief moment. It actually went there twice. It was in the 40s and the 50s, and now it's in the 20s. The problem is it's all about purchasing power. And if you look from January 3rd, 2009, at the beginning of Bitcoin, and you look at the US dollar, and then you look at today in March as I'm recording this video, late March 2023, who has more purchasing power in the growth? Again, up and to the right for Bitcoin, down and to the right for the dollar. We know it's a dying currency. So I'm willing to trade in that dying currency for stuff like silver and stuff like Bitcoin, because we already know that this right here is an investment. It holds its purchasing power, and Bitcoin is trend. Even the highs are getting higher and the lows are getting higher. So if you take a high and go down to the low, high go down to the low, the last low is 15,900, and then it's going to keep going up and up and up and up and up. So I love that. So yeah, I'll take the volatility with Bitcoin, but I'll definitely also take the purchasing power over that time with Bitcoin.
And there is something much worse than experiencing Bitcoin volatility, and that's having all of your savings confiscated by your bank or by your government. Talk about volatility. That's 100% loss. So keep that in mind whenever you're worried about Bitcoin's price volatility, especially if you don't understand the reason for it. One reason Bitcoin is so volatile is it is like a small pond. The fiat financial system is like a giant ocean. And as it sweeps, as money, as capital and savings comes from the ocean into the pond, it can create quite a bit of turbulence. But the bigger Bitcoin gets, the less volatile it will become over time. Amazon was very volatile very early on as a stock, and the volatility went down as the market cap went up. And this is something I expect to happen with Bitcoin as well.
And that's a great point, because the government can definitely take your money anytime they want, and that is 100% loss. And also, like you said about Bitcoin's volatility, it's only right now, compared to the hundreds of trillions of dollars or maybe quadrillions of dollars out there in the world. Because remember, Bitcoin is a global asset, guys. Bitcoin right now is only about $500 million, or excuse me, $500 billion. I don't know exactly what it is because it went up. It was 400 and something billion. I think it might be 500 or something billion now or something like that. And it's just a small little peck, a dot, like silver. Silver market cap, I believe, is 1.3 trillion. Gold is like between 10 and 12 trillion. So it's a little bit bigger, but Bitcoin's small. So of course it's more volatile because it's being traded in and out. There's all different kind of players in Bitcoin with this stuff. Some people hold, some people trade, go in and out, and things like that. And also, like he said, with Amazon, Amazon and the internet are the thing that people describe or compare Bitcoin to the most, because it's almost just like that. You know what I mean? It's very hard to explain to people when the internet first came out and Amazon first came out what it was going to be like. It's the same thing with Bitcoin, but the adoption level with Bitcoin is absolutely faster right now than Amazon and the internet. It really is. So because, again, when Amazon came out, it had the internet to help it. When the internet came out, it didn't have anything to help it but the internet itself. Now Bitcoin has Amazon, because you can buy stuff with Bitcoin on Amazon. And then also you can use the internet to buy Bitcoin.
The really amazing thing about Bitcoin is it allows you to hold the fruits of your time and labor, in other words, your savings, in a form that cannot be confiscated, censored, debased, or devalued through money printing. Bitcoin really is the ultimate retirement account.
That's why I love it so much, because again, in order to get through this, you have to have the 12 or 24 word pass key phrase to get into this. And only I have it. You know what I mean? Nobody can take it from you. You know what I mean? Same with this one. Also, it can't be inflated, because there's only going to be 21 million of them. You can't make any more. Again, money's supposed to be hard to get, ladies and gentlemen. You're not supposed to just press a button and more money appears. This is what I love about Bitcoin. It's my money because it can't be confiscated from me, because I have the passcode. And also, there's only going to be 21 million of them, and you can't print anymore.
Bitcoin has no counterparty risk, unlike the US government or unlike a bank. It's a bearer asset like gold, but adapted to the modern digital world. If you own it, it's yours. It can't be turned off like USDC or like US dollars in your bank account or stocks in your brokerage account, etc. Bitcoin can also be sent instantly anywhere in the world, or sent to yourself after you move to a more friendly economic or political jurisdiction. With your quote-unquote Bitcoin bank account, all you need to do is memorize 12 words. Then you can cross any border. You can get on a plane or boat, cross any border, and reconstitute your Bitcoin on the other side just by loading these 12 words into a new hardware or software wallet. If you think about how many people have been forced to flee their homes or countries in just the past 100 years in very modern history, when you think about these refugees and you hear people say that Bitcoin isn't good for anything, here's a very clear use case for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a life raft for refugees who would otherwise risk losing everything, whether it's Germany, Rwanda, Ukraine, etc. And if you think this sort of stuff can't happen in the US or Canada or Australia, you haven't been paying attention in the last few years. We're all just a few steps away from becoming refugees if our government turns hostile or if something goes wrong geopolitically.
That sound familiar? We got that stuff going on right now. You know what I mean? With all this hostile things, people wanting to go to a you-know-what. You never know what's going to happen, man. You never know. And again, if I have to move overseas, and I'm going to make a video about this, but if stuff keeps happening in this country the way it is, and, Donald Trump ends up in jail and all this other BS and stuff like that. I'm looking at other places to move until this stuff gets back right, man. Because this is not the country that my grandfather, grew up in, and my dad and me grew up in. This country has completely changed over the last 10 to 12 years, man. And it's changed for a way I don't like. And if we go to a what based on this administration, I might have to leave for a few years. You know what I mean? And again, all I got to do is I don't even have to bring these. You know what I mean? These are just devices. I can literally leave these here, sell all my items, bring no cash with me at all, have my words in my head, get on a boat, get on a plane, go over there, buy a new one of these, open it up, and I got as much money as I had before. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely genius, this system.
I'm going to finish this video by linking to this playlist on video, this playlist on YouTube, which I call How to Live on Bitcoin Practical Steps. And I talk about various places you can spend your Bitcoin, how to use Bitcoin on Strike instead of using PayPal, etc., and especially how to live on Bitcoin various ways, as well as how to find merchants and vendors. So the key here at some point is to be earning in Bitcoin and to be spending in Bitcoin and to start to think in Bitcoin and to worry less about its price volatility because you have Bitcoin coming in from your job and you have Bitcoin going out from what you're spending. And this way you take out the fiat component. You don't have to worry about the volatility of it. And again, if you're especially for capital or savings that you're planning on holding for a long period of time, this is what your savings will look like due to Bitcoin's fundamental properties. And it's very scarce supply, just 21 million coins compared to the US dollar, which has infinite supply.
Well done. I love that video. And I highly suggest you go to that man's channel and subscribe and look at that playlist he was talking about. Because I don't want to steal his content. I really want you guys to go over there if you're interested in Bitcoin. If not, you stack what you want, do what you want. But if you are interested in Bitcoin, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and YouTube channels. And to be honest, this is my favorite one. This is why I keep doing reactions to it, because of the way he breaks it down, man. He's absolutely right. We need to start transacting more into Bitcoin. I'm talking about the freedom fighters here, the people that know what's going on, because there's a lot of people, whether you know this or not, they are transacting in silver. People are transacting in silver, like peer to peer. You know what I mean? But as far as the digital money goes, like buying stuff overseas or, buying stuff and getting it mailed to you from Amazon or stuff like that, we do need a digital version of this stuff right here, or gold, and that's Bitcoin. You don't have to ask my permission. And the reason why I go so hard on this, guys, is because I was in the position where I didn't know what Bitcoin was, and I slept on it. And I personally believe this, and this is just my belief, and I've done much research on this. Every single one of you that tell me you're not going to buy Bitcoin and this, that, and the third, and I'm not telling you to buy it, I'm just telling you, you will end up buying it. You know what I mean? But the saying goes, you buy Bitcoin at the price you deserved. And I could have bought it years ago, and I didn't. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not telling you to buy this much or that much. I'm not telling you to buy it at all. All I'm telling you is to educate yourself on it and really put in the time to learn about it. But even before you buy it, that way, if you really know, because again, you can't listen to people like Peter Schiff or people that have a vested interest in not having Bitcoin do well, like the CNBCs and to make it look like a stock, and people that are really into gold and are really into this. The reason why I got into it, because I'm all about this, the United States Constitution and freedom and sovereignty and stuff like that. So when I really sat down and looked at Bitcoin, I said, well, wait a minute. This sounds like a lot like this stuff right here. You know what I mean? This sounds a lot like silver and gold, except in a digital version. You mean to tell me nobody owns it? Nothing like that? That's crazy. So take a good hard look at whether or not that's for you or not. Again, I don't make any money. I don't have any links or anything like that. The reason why I'm going so hard on this, because I love you guys, obviously. I want you to, all of us be able to transact in this freedom money and get out of this fiat Ponzi scheme that it is what it is. It just is what it is, man. It's a Ponzi scheme. And I'm getting out of it. I know we got to transact in it right now. We need it for the short term. But for the long term, I'm always going to stack God's money in the precious metals, and definitely going to stack the people's money in Bitcoin. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry I keep making all these Bitcoin videos for those of you guys that hate it. I know you guys hate me for it. That's why I don't get a lot of views. That's part of the reason. I get a lot of people that love Bitcoin and hate silver, and love silver and hate Bitcoin. But I got to do it, guys. I'm sorry. But I love each and every one of you. And one day you're going to look back at this crazy man when you keep telling me I'm stupid, I'm dumb, and all this other stuff. You're going to say, wow, that Jerry from 2021, 2022, 2023, man, I wish I would have listened to him. And it is not too late. Do your own research, okay? I'm telling you. And if you want to, get into those ship coins, do what you want to do, stack what you like, do what you want to do. But I highly suggest you take a look at the people's money, okay? And that's Bitcoin. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Love each and every one of you. You know that. You know that, guys. And I'm only doing it because I love you. It's almost like when your parent yells at you and you don't want to be yelled at, but they do it because they love you. They love you, man. That's why. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. And God bless you and yours. God bless this country, man, because we need it. All right. Pray for everybody that doesn't know, man, that just don't know what they don't know. You know what I mean? They don't know about the real money, and they don't know about what's going on with our freedoms and stuff like that. Don't fight against them, man. Pray for them. Put your hand on their shoulder and say, hey, I'm here for you, and you've been lied to. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love.